I'm a lot of things, and I have to fix and work on a lot of things, but my loyalty is not one of them.
This is the story of how silence, red tape, and a broken system cost an entire family their lives. What happens when the justice system follows every rule and still fails to protect the innocent? How does a man facing multiple child sex abuse charges end up right back in a home filled with children? And what do we call it when the warnings were all there and still no one acted? This isn't just another tragedy. It's a preventable one. Her name was Schinara Patterson, a 34-year-old mother, kind, loyal, trying to hold her family together under pressure most of us will never understand. On December 11th, 2023, she and her two daughters were found shot to death in their Las Vegas apartment. The killer, her own husband, a man who never should have been there. You're watching Crime Lab Report, where we uncover the real stories behind the headlines. Settle in as we take you inside one of the most chilling murder-suicides Las Vegas has ever seen. What should have been a regular Monday morning turned into one of the city's most heartbreaking crimes in recent memory. Inside a modest apartment in northwest Las Vegas, 3 lives were taken in cold blood, 2 of them children. And at the center of this story was 34-year-old Schinara Patterson, known by many in her community as Nara Shanique. A woman who worked hard, loved harder, and always seemed to carry the weight of others with quiet strength. Friends remember her as someone who wore many hats: a mother, a caregiver, a friend, and someone who always tried to find joy in small things. On social media, she shared glimpses of family moments, proud of her children's milestones, and never too far from a heartfelt caption. But behind the smiles and filtered photos was a reality she rarely let others see. Schinara had married Marvin Ray Patterson in 2019. At the time, it seemed like a second chance for both of them. A blended family, a fresh start, and what looked from the outside like a stable life. But inside those apartment walls, something else was unfolding, something much darker. By late 2022, Marvin had been arrested and charged with 9 felony counts, including sexual assault of a minor, lewdness with children under 14, and kidnapping. The allegations came from 4 different children, with incidents dating as far back as 2014. Despite the disturbing nature of the charges, Marvin's bail was reduced from $100,000 to just $10,000, and he was released on house arrest, allowed to live in the very same apartment as Schinara and the children. He wore an electronic ankle monitor, but as this case would prove, electronic tracking doesn't protect you from what someone is capable of behind a locked door. On that Monday morning in December, everything ended. 3 members of Schinara's family were found shot in the head. The man responsible, her husband Marvin, took his own life moments later. Only one child, Schinara's 11-year-old son, survived, barely.
The new information News 3 is uncovering about the man police say shot 4 people inside an apartment in the Northwest Valley.
Yeah, Metro Police saying that the gunman shot a woman and 3 children before turning that gun on himself. The woman and the man and 2 children all died. 1 child remains in the hospital. Kristen Drummond is live in studio after researching the gunman's past today, which includes a court record.
That's right, LaToya and Jim. The accused gunman is 42-year-old Marvin Ray Patterson. That's according to a family member of the victims and a law enforcement source. I'm also learning the identities of the woman and children. A GoFundMe identified the woman as Nara, a mother of 3 who just celebrated her birthday on December 11th. The GoFundMe also identified the children. We are not sharing their names, but their ages are 14, 11, and 6 years old. And the 11-year-old boy is the one who is in the hospital tonight.
In the months before the murders, Marvin Ray Patterson was a man living with a secret too large to contain, and a justice system that had, inexplicably, allowed him to keep living freely. In October 2022, Marvin was arrested in Las Vegas on 9 felony charges: 5 counts of lewdness with a child under 14, 2 counts of sexual assault of a minor, 1 count of lewdness with a child under 16, 1 count of first-degree kidnapping. The details of the case were sickening. 4 separate children had come forward, describing incidents spanning nearly a decade. One victim said Marvin groped her while she was sleeping. Another said he entered her room and touched her inappropriately. A third said he tried to pull down her pants and assault her. These weren't rumors. They were official statements filed in court documents.
Patterson was accused of sex crimes against children. Las Vegas Justice Court records show he was arrested last October and he faced 9 felony charges. And that includes 5 counts of lewdness with a child under 14, 2 counts of sexual assault with a minor under 16 years of age, 1 count of lewdness with a child under the age of 16, and 1 count of kidnapping of a minor. Now, documents show the crimes happened between 2014 to 2022. A judge first granted bail of $100,000 with high-level electronic monitoring. Patterson was also ordered to surrender his passport and stay away from children under 18. His bail, as I mentioned, was initially set at $100,000, but was reduced 2 months later to $10,000 after a bail hearing. Now, Patterson later posted that, and his case was moved to the Clark County District Court earlier this year, and a jury trial was scheduled for April of 2024. And tonight, lots of questions remain.
And yet, in December 2022, a judge lowered his bail from $100,000 to $10,000. Citing legal precedents and procedural fairness, the court ordered Marvin to house arrest, fitted with an electronic ankle monitor. That house, the same apartment where Schinara Patterson lived with her children, whether Schinara knew everything about the charges, remains unclear. Some believe she was trying to stay strong and hopeful. Others think she may have been in denial or simply terrified. But what's certain is that the court legally allowed a man accused of sexually abusing minors to live with minors unsupervised, and as Marvin's trial loomed, set for April 2024, his life began to unravel. The family was under financial stress. Eviction notices had been served. Their car was repossessed. Marvin began sending worrying text messages to his brother, filled with despair, frustration, and what now reads like a slow mental breakdown. On the morning of December 11, 2023, his brother came to check in. He never imagined he'd walk into a crime scene. Inside the apartment, Schinara, shot to death. 14-year-old Keziah, killed. 6-year-old Zymira, executed. 11-year-old Derek, still breathing, but barely. And Marvin, lying on the floor with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was a murder-suicide, and it was entirely preventable. The crime scene at the Loretto and Palacio apartments was described by first responders as one of the most devastating they had ever encountered. 4 people had been shot, 3 of them already dead. The only survivor, an 11-year-old boy, was clinging to life as he was rushed to University Medical Center's trauma unit. News of the killings spread quickly across Las Vegas. The names Schinara Patterson, Keziah Cohn, and Zymira Patterson were soon public. And when it was revealed that the killer was Schinara's own husband, Marvin Ray Patterson, the city reacted with horror. But shock quickly turned into anger. People couldn't understand how a man facing such serious charges had been allowed to live with children, let alone with the same children he wasn't supposed to be near. Activists and citizens alike began asking the same question. How did the system let this happen? It wasn't just about Marvin. It was about every red flag that had been ignored. The court records, the victim's statements, the warnings. The ankle monitor did nothing to stop the violence that unfolded behind that apartment door, and the consequences were fatal. Friends of Schinara and her children organized candlelight vigils and fundraisers to help with funeral expenses and medical bills for the surviving boy.
Their brother, Derek Jr., recovering in the hospital.
He's still fighting. We praying for him. And he go pull through.
If he had been in jail, none of this would have happened. Where he was supposed to be. I don't think they should have let him out at all. This was not supposed to happen.
Jamesetta Bernuti remembering her 34-year-old daughter, Schinara Patterson.
She was sweet, kind, do anything for you.
Shinara's sister, Michaela Bernuti.
She was there no matter who you was, how long she knew you. If she had it, she go give it to you.
Michaela describes her nieces, 14-year-old Keziah Cone, 6-year-old Schinara Patterson.
Duty, that's Zamira. She was sweet. Like, she was the most innocent child I ever met. Like, she didn't have a mean bone in her body. Keziah was goofy. She loved to draw.
A local food truck called Trap Wings held a special event in her honor, donating proceeds to the family. The community showed up in numbers, not just to grieve, but to demand answers. And yet, no official ever stepped forward to say the system failed. No judge issued a public statement. No court took responsibility for approving that residence. People were left to grieve in silence, haunted by the knowledge that this didn't have to happen. 3 innocent lives were lost. 1 child would live with trauma no one should carry. And the man who destroyed them all had already escaped accountability, not by trial, but by taking his own life. Justice, in the traditional sense, would never come. In the weeks following the tragedy, the city of Las Vegas was left to reckon with more than just the aftermath of a brutal crime. It was forced to confront a system that failed a mother and her children. Schinara Patterson wasn't famous. She wasn't wealthy. She was a mother, the kind that celebrated her children's birthdays with joy, posted selfies with quiet pride, and smiled even when life was hard. Her friends described her as gentle, thoughtful, and deeply devoted to her kids. She had dreams, she had plans, and she had no reason to believe that the man living under her roof would be the one to end it all. Her daughters, Keziah and Zamira, had barely begun their lives. Keziah was a teenager, growing into her voice. Zamira was just 6, full of innocence, light, and the kind of joy only a child can carry. And Derek, the sole survivor, now bears the burden of remembering what no child should ever witness. No one from the courts publicly acknowledged their role. No statement, no apology. The decision to grant bail, the approval of Marvin's return to that apartment, it was all by the book. And that's what makes it even more terrifying, because when the system works as it was designed to, and still ends in murder, where do we go from there? This wasn't just a tragedy. It was a warning about who we protect, about who we ignore, and about the cracks in the walls we trust to hold up justice. To Schinara's family, to her surviving son, to the friends left behind, we say this: we are so sorry, sorry that your cries for help were unheard, sorry that your loss was preventable, and sorry that justice came too late, if it ever came at all. May Schinara, Keziah, and Zamira rest in peace. May Derek find healing, and may we never forget their names, not as victims of one man's rage, but as a reminder of how silence can kill.